At the end of the great African rift is a land of turbulent human and geological history. The footprints of the first known farming settlement and the remains of the first settled civilization reflect a millennium of human occupation. In a territory that is 90% desert, the people of Jordan have an ingenious expertise in how to collect, conserve, and use the smallest drop of water. But today, when it comes to water, Jordan is the fourth poorest country on the planet. In the east, Jordan shares its desert with Saudi Arabia and Iraq. To the west, the River Jordan shares a border full of conflict with the states of Israel and Syria. Often disputed and flowing with history, the riverbanks, shrouded in myth, are challenged by a territorial conflict that remains unresolved. For the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the basin of the Valley of Jordan is an extremely important region. The majority of its water resources are found here. Situated more than 200 meters below sea level, the Valley of Jordan offers a climate that allows the development of irrigated agriculture all year long.
My name is Abu Ali Zanati, and I'm a farmer in the Valley of Jordan. This is a very fertile land, but because of global warming, lack of water, and decreasing rain, water is rationed and is only distributed at specific times. That is why some of my land is not cultivated. The weather has changed a lot. In the past, it would rain a lot sooner. Today, the rain is later and less. The crops would benefit if it rained sooner. In the past, the rain was more abundant. Do you see this land? It's mine. But because of the lack of rain, I cannot farm it, and I leave this area uncultivated.
Originally from Palestine, at 68 years of age, Abu Ali has lived through all the drama of the past history, and he has known a different Valley of Jordan, which he discusses with his childhood friend, Mohammed.
Do you remember, Abu Muhammad, when we were going to school together here? This was in the 1950s. When did we leave school? Was that in 56?
In 1956.
We would bathe in the River Jordan. But now, can we go there?
It's forbidden. All the children would go there to swim. We would jump and even dive in the water.
There is no more water.
Nothing.
It used to be a wonderful time.
There, to the side, what is there? Maybe 1 meter today?
Everything has changed since then.
I hope that it will improve.
Today, the River Jordan is no more than a creek invaded by grass. In the Valley of Jordan, all the farms depend on the water from the King Abdullah Canal, which is run by the JVA, a State Department branch and the authority of the Valley of Jordan.
The King Abdullah Canal gets water from the Yarmouk River, the main source of the Jordan River. Today, more than half of the water from the canal is sent towards the capital, Amman, to be used as drinkable water. That is why farmers do not have enough water to irrigate their land.
Unable to supply all the citizens' water demands, the government is forced to use the canal water to cover the country's deficit. Water is rationed and distributed by sector, using a national strategy put in place by the Ministry of Water.
In Jordan, we're in the Middle East, and according to the studies and the assessment, they said the climate change basically will affect the water resources. First priority is drinking water purposes, and then it depends on the economic return of cubic meter of water. If it could be industrial, then tourism, but not agriculture. So no, agriculture consumes 60% of this water, and based on our strategy, we decided to cap the amount of water allocated for agriculture.
With a minimum quota, the water distribution must be organized to meet as much of the farmers' needs as possible.
Badal, can you come here? It's good. I have the okay. You can open the valves for plot 41. Go now. As the president of the Farmers Association, I verify the quantity of water that the authority of the Valley of Jordan gives us for irrigation. And I ensure that it's distributed equally among the farmers.
Abu Ali plans the distribution of water for the irrigation and acts as an intermediary with the JVA, the authority of the Valley of Jordan. He regularly visits the farmers and herders, and he defends their rights. Goat and sheep herding is a traditional Bedouin activity in the Jordan Valley. These herders also depend on the water of the canal, and Abu Ali manages their allocations as well.
Do you have enough orders?
Yes, we receive orders. And some are coming to pick up 100 cheeses.
If I want 200 cheeses?
Yes, it's possible, but you would have to order in advance. I have someone who passes by, and sometimes he takes a lot to sell in Amman.
So, where are you?
Thank God we still have our sheep. It's our main way of living, but we lack water. There isn't a lot. We only have what there is in the canal. All the shepherds are in the same situation. They only have the canal water to survive on. Without that water, we are dead. Before we used to go from one hill to another, from one water source to another. There were many of them, but year after year, all the water is now captured in the pipes, and now it's over. There is no more in nature.
Abu Sakr, you know that the water has become rare. Maybe even your water allocation is going to diminish. If that happens, what will you do?
I would complain to God. I hope that we can find means of drilling, or I don't know what. But we need water because without food, my sheep will die.
Abu Ali is often in contact with one of the pioneers of the valley, Abu Agla, who is having a hard time adapting to pressurized irrigation and the rationing of water.
So what's happening?
Yesterday, the water was very weak. There was almost nothing. With the drum system, there wasn't enough. I did not understand the system. When we first had the canal, at that point, water was so abundant. We had it every day, 24 hours a day. There was so much, but it's not like that today.
After the forming of Israel in 1948, Israel diverted the water sources of the River Jordan after failing in negotiations for an equal portion of water with the Arab League. In 1957, Jordan responded by building the Canal of King Abdullah to get the water from the source, the Yarmouk, to develop irrigated agriculture in the Valley of Jordan.
I was a stone worker. I was one of the workers that built the canal. That is how I participated in the canal. The bulldozers dug the land, and we poured the concrete that was transported by wheelbarrows. We did not stop going back and forth.
You were a laborer. You helped build the canal. How did you end up as a farmer?
I already had some land near the canal, and during the work, they gave us ownership of the land. Each parcel was well identified, and so I wanted to cultivate it so it would rise in value. That is the reason. And when work on the canal continued, many people did the same thing. They stopped working on the canal and were replaced by others, so that they could start farming. It is with the canal project that everyone got interested in the land.
To supply the canal and to meet the increasing need for water and the irrigation of farmland, dams were built on all the wadis. King Hussein inaugurated Wadi Ziglab in front of an enthusiastic crowd. 2.5 months later, the Israelis triggered the Six-Day War and took advantage of their military strength to seize the main water towers of the region's natural water supply, the West Bank and the Golan Heights. The Wadi Ziglab Dam has become a natural reserve, which Mohammed, a retired teacher, looks after.
It is really low, the dam.
As you know, Abu Ali, the dam depends on rain, and it's been a long time since it's rained. There is a water source that feeds the reservoir, but it's not enough to increase the water level. It was built to provide water for the farmers. Water was not supposed to be diverted for domestic use. The dam's capacity is 3.8 million cubic meters, but since 1993, it's never reached its maximum level because of the lack of rainwater.
We have a beautiful view here.
Abu Ali, I heard you say that you had a house in Palestine, in Basin, prior to 1948.
Yes, it is a large black stone house built in 1940. That is why we hold on to our right to return, according to the UN Resolution 194. Basin, it is right in front of us, and just like the Farouz song says, take me back to Basin.
After the Six-Day War, the occupation of Palestinian territories by Israel provoked a new mass exodus. More than 500,000 Palestinians crossed the border of the Jordan River to seek refugee status in Jordan. For Jordan, the loss of the territories in the West Bank and East Jerusalem was accompanied by a deep resentment. It is the only Arab country to approve citizenship to the Palestinian refugees, whom today represent over 60% of the country's population. Many of these refugees were farmers through generations from father to son, and they have continued to work the land on the other side of the Jordan River. The border area of the Jordan River still carries scars of this war, and the consequences have led Jordan to its current water shortage. The seizure of Golan Heights by Israel led Syria to increase levees and dams upstream in the Yarmouk River. Jordan has also become dependent on its neighboring countries, while the influx of refugees has led to an increased demand for water. Global warming has aggravated the deficit in resources. The volume of water in the Yarmouk River was divided by 10, adding to the problems of the King Abdullah Canal. Under the tutelage of the JVA, the control center of DIRAR responds to the increasing water stress thanks to the sophisticated hydraulic software. The Jordanian government can also adjust the distribution of water depending on the availability of the resources.
Due to the effects of global warming, we really needed to install a sophisticated and efficient system that allows us at any moment to control each water resource available. This information needed to be in real time. And on the length of the King Abdullah Canal, we have 34 locks. That allows us to evaluate the quantity of the water that can be allocated to the irrigation and how much will be used as drinking water.
During the past 10 years, precipitation levels have dropped significantly in the Kingdom of Jordan, especially in the Valley of Jordan. Because of the deficit in our resources, the JVA had to reduce the water allocations for the farmers by 50% of their actual needs.
The Valley of Jordan needs 270 million cubic meters per year for proper irrigation. Unfortunately, the amount available is only 130 million. Since the 1980s, the need to save on water has led to a pressurized irrigation drip. A French project developed by Céline Papin and Jordanian engineers was created to support farmers and to improve irrigation on the farms.
We work to improve distributions so that the water allocated to each farm is compatible with their needs for pressurized water.
And when the pump is working, you still have this low pressure, or usually it's working better?
Abu Ali learned a lot from this training, and he was able to control the pressure, which allows him to help other farmers.
In the traditional system, we see water accumulate in the ground. And when we do the drop system, we no longer see the water, and so the farmers are struggling with how to deal with it, which is why we collaborated with Abu Ali.
When we have a pressure problem, farmers get nervous, and some, wanting to increase the flow, pierce the pipes with needles.
But they'll damage them.
Of course.
The water quotas were calculated depending on the needs of each farm. But because of the drought in the 2000s, the allocations can no longer be met.
The water allocations are being reduced, so the farmers must use every drop of water that he receives. But the objective today is not to save more water, because we know we cannot do so. It would mean receiving 50% less towards the needs for their land. But to ensure that the water they receive is used in an optimal way, and to also have an irrigation system, well-designed plots of land allow better quality crops and a more homogeneous production, which will offer better value.
Amman is a sprawling town of 2.4 million inhabitants, and the population has increased tenfold over the past 50 years.
50% of the population of Jordan live in Amman, very crowded, and even when the returnees they come back, they settle in Amman. So it increased also the stress on water. And again, now with what's happening around us, we're expecting also to have people from around us, refugees. And as the result of that, Amman is receiving, the population there, they're receiving water once a week. We ration water there. And it's not a good thing.
Wake up. Hurry up. Today's the day for water. We don't have much time to take advantage of it.
For the residents of Amman, like Dana and Tarek, they must make sure to not miss the only day of the week where the city provides running water. It is also necessary to know the time the water will arrive.
You're back already?
And you are still here?
But there is still no water.
Go up there and check the tank.
The water has arrived.
Come on, hurry. We get the water just 1 or 2 days a week. Having only one day where there is running water, we need to take advantage of it. We do the washing, the dishes, and clean the whole house so that we can keep the water in the tank above the roof for the rest of the week.
Each apartment has their own tank. As you see, today is Friday. In this area, you see people busy, some watering their flowers. There are those that are cleaning. This one is running the machine. Everything that needs to be done is done on the one day that we have running water.
All the roofs in Amman are covered in reservoirs, and to overcome the lack of drinking water, a trade has been developed. However, this is a solution that is too expensive for the people of Amman.
I would like a new tub of water.
Due to the water shortage here in Amman, water station plants are a very good business here in Jordan. It's highly profitable. The reason that people buy our water is because it's safer. It's very risky to keep the water stable in water tanks for a week or for 2 weeks, especially in the summer. So it's high contamination, biological contamination, high chemical reaction inside the water, so this might be risky. Actually, there's around 370 water shops here in Amman and 650, 700 water shops in whole Jordan.
Curiously, this water comes from the vicinity of Amman, which has the best agricultural lands in the country. The need for water in the capital, linked to rapid urbanization, is so big that the farmers give up their plots or convert their farms. Shami, an agricultural engineer, has done precisely this.
His olive trees are in a bad state. They've been very much affected by the lack of rain, and here for the field, it's the same thing. It's already the end of the rainy season. The wheat and the millet should be this high, but they are really low, and that's because of the lack of precipitation. The year 2000 was a period of drought in Jordan, and so it was then that we decided not to use our water for irrigation, but to sell it at the market to cover the water shortage. In Jordan, the sale of drinking water is very profitable as the precipitation is very low. It's on average 200 millimeters a year, and that's why the water demand is high. Here, the wells are about 30 to 50 years old. Their production decreases until the point where they are no longer profitable. Actually, this well is 160 meters in depth. We then renew our permit from the ministry to have the authorization to dig deeper, to about 300 meters, which will allow us to extract more water and to have more clients. Thank you, God. The business is excellent, better than farming, and above all, more secure. Therefore, thank you, God. Everything is going really well.
Now we allowed to some owners to sell the water through the tankers with our license, with our conditions. We are controlling that 100% now in Jordan. 90% of the wells are already metered from our side or from from the owners. The water we are using in Jordan mainly groundwater, and the demand year and year we have more and more. You are, for example, build a new house, you need water. I cannot give you that because you're not allowed me by the law to give you water. You are going to the private sector to buy water from the private wells.
In a city that is continuously growing, there is no shortage for the demand of water. Hotels, restaurants, and other large companies all go to the private sector. The water truck drivers are also small entrepreneurs, owners of their own trucks, where they buy the water from the private wells and sell them in town. Over-exploitation of the underground wells leads to degrading the quality of the water. To supply the capital in an emergency situation, the government has launched a huge project which will begin in 2013. Abu Ali, like many farmers, hopes that this project will not take the water from the valley. On the highway between the Wadi Rum Desert in the south of the country and Amman, the bulldozers dig trenches to put in an enormous 325-kilometer-long pipeline that will bring pure water that has been trapped underground from 30,000 years ago. Jordan had to make a choice to dig from this unique reserve that would deprive any future use. This fossil water does not regenerate. Once it's used, it does not replenish. It will bring temporary relief, but it will be exhausted in about 50 years. The demographic expansion of Amman has quickly raised the issue of the treatment of wastewater. In 2008, the Samra plant was put into service. At the forefront of technology, it covers almost all of its own energy needs.
It is the largest wastewater treatment plant in Jordan. It treats wastewater for more than 2 million local people, mainly located in the capital of Amman. And the volume of water that is treated by this station represents about 10% of the water resources in Jordan.
We look at the wastewater as a renewable resource because we reuse this water. 90% of our wastewater, it is reused basically in agriculture because, treated water, it costs us also a lot of money.
The cost of building the plant was an investment of over 140 million euros.
We always monitor the quality of water that enters and exits the plant. The treated water is of good quality that can be used for farming.
When leaving the plant, the treated water will go into the Zarqa River, which flows into the River Jordan, that is now used for irrigation in the valley.
In the Jordan Valley, whether we like it or not, our strategy is to give them the reclaimed water to substitute fresh water, not an extra amount.
The Zarqa, the only fully Jordanian river put into place by treated water, is held by the dam of King Talal, the largest in the country. It has become a resource of utmost importance for the farmers in the Valley of Jordan. The decrease in precipitation leads to an exceptionally low level in the dam. The addition of treated water fills the rainwater deficit, but it's not enough. In following the course of the River Zarqa, the news spreads. The farmers need to contend to this water as there will not be enough for their needs. Seeing the river Zarqa, Abu Ali wonders what will happen.
Today, the river runs mainly recycled water that has been retreated. Recycled water is a misfortune that we cannot avoid. With the country situation, we have to make do. Can I drink this water?
No. But it's good for irrigating.
Is it good for the citrus trees?
For the citrus trees, it's more difficult.
Because of its salinity, the retreated water is not good for the citrus trees and for certain vegetable plants, like beans. In his tank, Abu Ali, like all the other farmers, tries to mix his water with fresh water from the canal and with rainwater when there is some.
Look at the deposits that remain on the filter that needs to be cleaned.
Today, for the farmers, the decision to phase out the fresh water aggravates the problems by using retreated water. Worried, Abu Ali gets advice from one of the engineers of the French project.
Farmers are facing more problems with the claimed water. In terms of water quality, it contains more sediments, and there is no real filtration system at the pumping station. So this kind of sedimentation causes the irrigation system to clog. It closes and doesn't give water anymore.
At the Center of Research at the Ministry of Agriculture, Abu Ali meets Dr. Mazari, who is studying the most effective means of adaptation with these drastic restrictions. All the meteorological data is recorded and available on the internet to allow the farmers to adapt to the climatic change and to optimize their dates for crop cultivation.
These past 10 years, we have observed that the rainy season has changed. It comes later each year, and it is very random.
The center also studies different ways to farm. For Dr. Mazari, soil-less crops respond better to climatic constraints.
In this soilless crop, the water flows in a closed circuit. It is recuperated, then reused. There is no evaporation, so it allows for significant water savings, which is vital.
The development of the technology is important, but these expensive technologies do not apply to the small farmers.
Given the investment, this system is cost-effective for a large operation. But from experience, the use of greenhouses allows us to reduce our water consumption by 50%. Therefore, it's the future of farming. We can even cultivate crops that make more money.
Close to the research station, the center of the valley is an immense sea of plastic. The large modern achievements above ground receive water from the King Talal Dam and its recycled water from Amman. Shukri Khairuddin, the director of one of these farms, has had to adapt.
It's all right, but for export purposes, it doesn't meet the standards. And that's why we have our own RO unit, and we desalinate brackish water. That's plenty and available in this area. We produce about 1,000 tons of pre-packed and ready-to-eat products, out of which 82% goes for exports, like the tender stem broccoli. It was developed by a British firm, and the seed producer is Sakata in Japan. and they don't have that much land, so they produce the seeds in the west coast of the United States, in California. They send us the seeds from there to the Jordan Valley. We grow it for consumers in London, in the UK for the UK supermarkets. And this is how the whole world is becoming like a global village. I pity those people who believe that we are exporting our water. The water they are using in the Jordan Valley is the lowest quality water. We happen to be the end user of the water in the Jordan Valley. And without water, we cannot generate jobs for the few 100,000 people that live in this area.
Abu Ali worries about this type of farming becoming inaccessible to the small farmers. Many are now in debt, trying to survive, and are forced to sell their land.
I heard that you have sold your land.
Yes, I have sold it.
How big was it?
1.5 hectares.
Why did you sell it?
Lack of water. There is no water. There is no agriculture without any water. We stopped farming. It was no longer profitable. And we also needed money.
And whoever bought your land, what does he do?
Palm trees.
Is he rich enough?
He is rich. He is very rich.
The date palm tree is a new crop that is exported in the valley, and it requires a large initial investment. The failure of family farms has allowed new owners to build large estates. Alul is one of them.
In my opinion, the small farmers do not have the means to develop a profitable business. They are too small. They would need to unite as a syndicate that would allow them to group together to equip, dig holes, buy materials, and better run the water. If not, the small farmers are condemned to disappear.
In the month of April, showers testify to the shift of the rainy season. Torrential storms attack the valley and bring hope and relief to the farmers. They all hope that the dam will fill up and that the JVA will finally distribute more water. And yet,
it is unacceptable. We refuse that they cut our water.
This morning at the pumping station, Abu Ali is furious. A team from the JVA arrived to close a few water counters. He calls the authorities to fight against this decision.
Good morning, Your Excellency. I am Mefkal Zanati Abu Ali. Our brothers at the JVA have announced the end of irrigation of vegetables for the 15th of May, as they don't want us to have summer crops. But today, we are the 6th of April. We are an association of water users and not minions of the JVA. Yes, exactly. The Secretary General has given us his okay to push the date to May 30th. He said that there won't be a problem.
I swear, if an engineer or someone approaches my farm, I will kill them. Anyone who goes near my pump, I will kill them. Even if it's the police. This is unacceptable.
We are here to apply the law.
I have nothing against you.
I will go see the land. For whoever refuses, there is the police.
If it's a man, let him come here.
No one will accept that. I am sure that the Majesty the King will not accept that decision.
That is not my problem.
That's for sure.
The JVA has lost its head. They want to cut the farmers' water now. We don't do any farming in the summer. Cultivating of tomatoes here in the Valley of the North ends mid-June. After mid-June, they can come and cut the water if they want. But before that date, no question about it, we will not accept it at all.
It is also the season for zucchini, and Abu Naim is in a hurry.
Ahmed, bring the crates, hurry!
He wants to be one of the first to sell his crop so that he can get a good price.
Hurry up, faster!
This money is even more essential now, as they are not allowed to grow summer crops.
We will never finish on time.
Abu Naim is also in more debt now, as he purchased a few second-hand greenhouses to cultivate cucumbers. He is satisfied, as his cucumbers can go up to 20 days without watering.
From the top, the structure prevents evaporation, and at ground level, the plastic keeps in the humidity. Greenhouses allow me to reduce my water consumption.
The changing of dates at the beginning or the end of irrigation puts the harvests in peril for farmers. Abu Ali has just informed Abu Naim that JVA's decision to cut the water today concerns his land.
God sends rain from the sky, and they want to cut off the water supply. So, that proves their bad intentions and that their goal is to cut our lives. That is crazy, impossible, impossible. No one will accept that.
Abu Naim, you are correct. Water is a right.
I'm a man with a lot of responsibilities, with children. I have to educate them, take care of their wedding expenses. Our situation is serious, truly very serious. I must also pay my workers.
You are right. It is hard.
Inshallah, we must remain united.
We will have one voice. That is the only way to improve our situation.
يا ابو نعيم ان شاء الله احنا ظلنا مع بعض ان شاء الله احنا ظل يد واحد وظل اجتماعاتنا مستمره كمان كمزارعين مع بعض.
Abu Naim, like most of the small farmers, sends his harvest to the main market in Amman, but he is wondering if it is the last trip of the season.
Today, our first worry is water. It is the problem of problems. The farmers' problems in the valley is water. We cannot cultivate without water. We face many challenges. What do you think of the new decision made by the JVA to cut the water for the vegetables?
Before summer?
Yes. What do you think of that decision?
It is the poor people that will be hurt.
And the crops?
With the JVA, we'll never get there. We are real sheep. They take advantage of the fact that we're not well organized. Every year, they give us the same excuses. God sends us rain, and we still have a harvest to do. After tomorrow, there will be another depression, but they already made their mind up a month ago, as if they know the future. Just like God.
The vegetables, you're funny. The truth is that the water that goes to Amman, they use it in their swimming pools to swim in and to wash their cars. Isn't that a shame? In here, the poor farmer is here without water to cultivate his vegetables, and he can barely make ends meet. Where is the logic?
The future of farming depends on who is in charge of the water management. No one other than the government or the JVA can intervene to limit the great waste of water that actually exists.
To solve all of our problems, what is the best solution? To be united or to work alone?
Together.
Together, together, remain united.
The discussion goes late. The farmers do not question the priority given to drinking water, but they think that the systematic exploitation of resources to fuel the capital has changed the environment.
The climate is different. It's not how it used to be. When it rained for several days consecutively, Wadi Yabis and all of the wadis would fill up completely with water. Now, even when it rains, the wadis no longer get a drop of water.
The land is dry, very dry.
From the north to the south of the valley, all the rivers that descend the mountains are deprived and captured to provide drinking water for Amman. These wadis no longer join up with the River Jordan or the Dead Sea, and their water remains imprisoned in dams. The Dead Sea shows a considerable decline, and the evaporation of this sea is not compensated. The loss of this important source of humidity adds to the lack of precipitation. Abdul Rahman Sultan, the assistant director of the association, the Friends of the Middle Eastern Earth, fights to save the Dead Sea.
This is terrible because after so many years, we will see the Dead Sea very far away from this point. You can see that every year 1 meter at height from the top, but also 9 centimeters from the bottom, salt sedimentation because the water is super saturated that we lose 1.9 meter per year.
The decline of the level of water of the Dead Sea creates underground cavities. The dissolution of the salt provokes impressive collapsing called sinkholes, which places the farming land and its infrastructure in peril.
What is happening here?
Here is a hole. The land has collapsed.
And did that happen recently?
This one's about 2 years old.
Do you have land here?
Yes, this land was ours, but it has disappeared into the hole. We had planted tomatoes here.
Has it sunk anywhere else?
Yes, it has sunk there. And there too. The road was cut, and the 2 roads further away as well.
And what did you lose?
We lost our land. Before, we had 3 hectares, and today, we have only about a ½ hectare left.
To save the Dead Sea from an environmental disaster, a large project of more than 7 million euros is under review. The water of the Red Sea will be pumped up to the mountains near the Gulf of Aqaba, desalinated, then thrown 600 meters lower into the Dead Sea by traveling in a canal 180 kilometers long.
But this project is very important. It will save the Dead Sea, and at the same time, it will provide us with our needed fresh water. And we hope that the Jordan problem will be solved once we have the project.
I don't think that the Red Canal is the solution of the water deficit in Jordan. We think that we have one sick ecosystem, which is the Dead Sea. And in order to solve this problem, we don't want to create more other ecosystems sick. We don't want to impact the Gulf of Aqaba. We need to make sure that the limited resources that we have, we are using them in a sustainable fashion. Because today, we might have the Red Canal. And in 10 years, we will need to have another Red Canal. $10 billion to build this canal, that's very expensive. We cannot afford it.
Despite the efforts and sometimes unpopular measures, Jordan is at an impasse. Without a regional political solution, the desalination of the seawater appears to be the only recourse when this controversial project raises a number of questions.
Before, this used to be a prosperous village. The people started at the moment of the war with Israel in 1967. And so water started to diminish. And they should have completely abandoned it because of the lack of water. Water, that's life. Water is a right for everyone in this region. Everyone should benefit. The lack of water is dangerous. In the future, the conflicts in this part of the world will be surrounding the question of water. With global warming, this change will mainly affect the poorest of farmers. This planet belongs to us all. We are all the sons of this land. We are all the sons of Adam. I hope that there will be less hungry people, less people who monopolize all the wealth and who deprive people with essential resources in their lives.